Thank you. Thank you to our breakfast sponsor. I want to say, is it Fat Boy Tacos? Yeah. Yeah, and sponsored by Legendary Escrow. So let's hear it from them. Very good, very good. Thank you so much. I have a question. I'm going to go back some time now. Who's been in the industry for 10 years or more? Let's stand up. Stand up. Yeah. 10 years and more. I love it. Rock stars for sure. Sticking it out. You guys got grit. All right. If you are, keep standing, 12 years. Ooh, 12 years. Let's just do it. 15 years. Oh my gosh, 15 years. I love it. I mean, I'd have to sit at 15. Done. Okay. 17 years. 20 years. 20 years. Thank you, Jean. He's out. 20 years. All right, 25 years. 25 years in the business. 30 years. 30 years in real estate. Oh, I got Marty. All right. 31, 32, 33, 34. Oh, Sarah Lee, 35 years in the industry. All right, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 39, 40 something, 40 years, Sarah Lee, 45. Congratulations. Wait, Vanessa, what's the magic number? 42 years. Congratulations. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. So those of you that have been in the industry understand the word change, right? When an RPA was just on a Post-it, a good old handshake, right? When Temecula was really a horse country, where cowboys really lived, CMP wasn't a nightclub. Okay, so change is a big thing. And those of you, I said a quote yesterday. Hold this with me. I'm going to read it. And then oh, what is the problem? I need glasses. This is so true. Okay, here's my quote. I read it yesterday and I really liked it. All right, here we go. You guys ready? If you got paper, you got pens, you need to take notes, right? Because why? You're a student for life. You've been in the industry for 30 plus years, you know change is important. So we can't be afraid of change. You may feel very secure in the pond that you were in, but if you've never ventured out, you would never know there is such a thing as an ocean or a sea. So I say that to you now. We've all been through a lot of change. I'm not just talking 2020, talking life, talking major life decisions, major things. So you've stayed committed to real estate. And I want you to know that we're committed to you in your growth. These change is a real thing, and you have to continue to evolve and change, right? Just be that ever-growing butterfly coming out of your cocoon constantly. Because you know why you can't take a butterfly out of its cocoon? Do you know why? I know you guys know. Come on. I'm going to get a participating group for you. Ready? Tell me why we don't take a butterfly out of its cocoon. It won't develop. It'll die. Go ahead. The wrestling makes it strong. She's a mom. She knows. She knows. That's exactly it, right? So guess what? You're going to wrestle real estate out and win. You're going to pin it to the ground. You're going to be the victor in every change. You're going to think ahead before it happens. We're going to be the server catching the ride, turning back, ready to catch the next wave. So with that, I want you to know why I'm here. Because sometimes you have to believe in the leader before you believe in the product. And when I met Mark Stark, that's exactly what happened. I believed in the leader before I believed in Berkshire Hathaway. So with that said, I want you to get on your feet, come on, and welcome Mark Stark.
Good morning. Well, I'm exhausted. How about you? A lot of exercise. Now, all right. So here's what I'd like to do today. I do have some things that I want to share. I've got some ideas, something very near and dear to my heart, really, and it doesn't only affect business, it affects life, and that is this concept of execution. You know, ideas, you've heard this saying, come a dime a dozen, we can come up with ideas, they sound good, but what really matters is can you execute on that idea? So we are going to go over things that I use in my life and in my business, as well as I've learned from many other mentors and people of what they use. And everything I'm going to go over today is not an idea that may work. These are things that I actually use and others use that I know is effective. So I'm going to share that with you. And of course, we can cover questions as we go through that. And then secondly, you know, I'm thrilled to be here. Well, let's face it, I'm thrilled to be anywhere. Let's just say that. But I really am, and I want the opportunity for you to ask questions about anything. Certainly about the topics I'll cover today, but anything at all. So anything on your mind. I don't get enough time in front of everyone company-wide. I really am pleased because I've started on now my round robin, going to all 4 markets, 3 states again, and I'll be doing that on an ongoing basis. So I am excited about that. And but for today, I want to be able for you to ask, and I will do my very best to answer any questions you have. All right. So let's get started on this concept called execution. I'm going to start off with probably one of the most important aspects in your personal life as well as your business life. In fact, in every aspect of your life. And I categorize this as a superpower, and I'm not exaggerating. This is something that has not only saved me numerous times, and this is dealing with my teenage girls, certainly in challenges in business, shifts in market, financial challenges, whatever the case may be, is I cannot tell you this next concept. That's why I put it first, how powerful it actually is. All right. And that is clarity. Having clarity in every way, shape, or form. You know, it is so easy as the world, as Alicia talked about, things change and continue to evolve and continue to move. We have to always adjust and get clarity on where we're at. It would be, if think about this, when you don't have clarity, what if we had this meeting and we did not tell you the location? Mark's coming to California. He's going to meet you. We'll see you there. Don't be late. Okay. You wouldn't know where to go. And I know that's a silly example, but that's exactly what we do in our own lives, be it business or personal. And when you don't know your direction, you can't make good decisions. You just can't. You will make decisions that you think at the moment are effective and positive for you, but what you don't know without direction, you don't know that decision's like making a left, thinking, hopefully the meeting's this way. Okay, you're taking your best shot, but you don't know you're moving in the right direction. I want to share with you just a couple examples of where I've used clarity. You know, investing. You know, it's interesting. I've talked to numerous investors over my career for many, many years. And one of the things that's interesting, and I always push back when someone says this to me, when an investor says, I want to earn, okay, I want to maximize my return on my investment. Now, what are we going to make? And I always push back and I go, do you really want to maximize your return? And they'll say to me, well, of course, that's what I want to do. I go, okay, so if we take a high level of risk and you lose a portion, half, or all your investment, but we go for it to maximize your investment, you're good with that. Well, I'm not good with that. I'm not good. I don't want to lose any principal. Okay, so let's get clarity on what you really want. Because in my belief is, why would I ever take more risk to earn a X return when all I need is a 7% return on my money to get everything I want. And how, when I say everything, that's where clarity comes in. All right. I only want X. I'm comfortable with this lifestyle. I wanted to do this. And by the way, the more general you are, the least effective it will be for you. You have to be specific. And these are meetings that you'll have with yourself. I cannot tell you how powerful they are. You know, with home services now, all right, and in my position, my meeting schedule, my routine gets affected because now I have a lot more meetings than I had before, all right? And so now I've got to sit back down and get clarity of, okay, here it is. I've got some different responsibilities. I have other responsibilities that are no longer on my shoulders. But Mark, you got to get clarity on your position. So this is a never-ending aspect. There are 3 questions I want you to think about. Certainly, you're not going to answer these now, and these are never-ending questions. Meaning, as your world continues to change, your life changes, you'll always relook at these questions. But these questions are with me all the time. I think about it constantly, and they come up with my mentors when I sit down. They're always bringing it back to me. Let's go through these questions. Question 1, who am I? Who am I? Okay. And that may sound like a little opaque, but you really need to figure out, who are you? Okay. And that lets you know really where your purpose, where your passion is. Who are you? Okay. Second, what do you want? What do you want? And again, specifics. And third, what price am I willing to pay? What price am I willing to pay? And there is always a price. Could be time, it could be money, could be relationships, whatever the case may be, there will always be a time, all right? Or there will always be a price to whatever you choose, okay, based on what you want. Those 3 questions, I am constantly adjusting. Now, my advice upon you working on these questions is, here's what works for me. I basically throw out on the paper everything on my mind. I don't try and organize it. I just go, if I'm thinking about who am I write all this information out. Here's who I am. Here's who I think I am. And I go through it. What do I want? Here's what I want. Here's what I want. Here's what I want. Here's what I want. And I get it all out, okay, with no organization whatsoever. Then I go back to those lists. And I'll do this at another day. Sometimes it won't even be the next day. It could be a week later. And I'll relook at that list and go, no, I'm not that person. I don't want to be that person. Who the hell is this person? Okay. And I go through and I see, no, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? And I do this 3 and 4 and 5 times, separate from a change going on in my life. And I get it to a tight list of, here's who I am. Here's what I want based on my time in the world today. All right. And this is the price that I'm willing to pay. What's always been important to me is I always wanted to succeed at high levels in business, and I'm a father and a husband, and that's important to me. So I spend a ton of time with family, and I spend a ton of time at work, but I don't golf. Okay, I'm not a golfer. In fact, you wouldn't call it golfing if you saw me swing. Okay, so I'm not a golfer. I don't play tennis. I'm not out with the guys. I'm not partying. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm a homebody or I'm working. For me, that works. Okay, because it's tied directly into what I want. And there's prices I'm not willing to pay. And does it cost me on some other aspects? You really should invest more time in that. Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm just not willing to pay that price. Okay, so I cannot tell you clarity. And I know it's a broken record with me. And I know the leadership team's probably tired of hearing it. But when you have clarity of really what you need to accomplish, you're unstoppable. All right. 2, consistency. I talk about this, and I'll just go through this really quick. I mean, consistency, what I love about it is less is more, the concept of less is more. Consistency is more important than bulk. So when you try and do too much, see, once you have clarity, consistency comes easier Because now you're like, well, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want, this is really what I want to accomplish. This is important to me. Okay. This is the price I'm willing to pay, but this is important. Now you can build your consistency around less is more. All right. Please do not try and take on too much. You will try and take on too much. You will not accomplish it, and you won't reach any of your goals. What's the rule of thumb? Anytime you have more than 3 goals, the chances of you achieving any of them drops dramatically. If you have 1 goal, which I believe in, you'll get it. You know, people ask me, well, there's a lot more to do. No, there isn't. There's 1 thing to do, 1. And then when that's done, guess what? There's another 1 thing to do. And then when that's done, there's another 1 thing to do. That's why you execute effectively. When you try and do all these things, you can lie to yourself. That's why multitasking is a joke. There's no such thing as multitasking. What you're really saying is, hey, I'm breaking up my thought process, my attention, my efforts into more than one topic because I really want to lower my quality on every topic I'm working. That's what you do. It just is what it is. Okay? Multitasking is ineffective. I'm going to be doing in fact, I believe it's next week. I'm doing my Facebook Live on the power of small time segments. So you'll see that, to where we tend to block off a half hour, an hour for things. Where the power comes in is when you're blocking off 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes max. People don't realize how much power is in 5 minutes of what you can use. So I'll be talking more about that there. But consistency is the key. So this concept of consistency is what really brought on DRC. And if you're sitting there and you don't know what DRC is, I'm going to cry. But DRC, I will tell you, is daily revenue commitment. If you are in business, any business, you own a sandwich shop, you're in real estate, if you do not have a DRC, daily revenue commitment, you will not move your business forward. You have to have a daily revenue commitment. Less is more. It doesn't have to be up here, but it has to be a consistent daily revenue commitment. I'd rather have you, as an exaggeration, make 1 call a day. That's all I do. I have 1 conversation a day. That's it, Mark. I promise you this, the tortoise and the hare. You will end up by the end of the year being ahead, okay, of a lot of people because you don't miss your 1 conversation a day to drive your business forward. So consistency, and it's all around this daily revenue commitment, is key. So if you want to move your business forward and want something that's important to you in clarity is more financial freedom, whatever that means to you. Okay, there's no wrong or right answer to that. You have to have a DRC. Now, if you say, well, I only want to make this and I'm making that, do I really need a DRC? My recommendation is this: you don't know what you don't know. And so by having a DRC and keeping it consistent, it gives you more freedom later. You know, the mistake people make is when you've probably heard about this, the circle of knowledge. And here's where the circle of knowledge, you really got to, we know what we know. Okay, if I asked you about a subject that you are very skilled about, we know what we know. We really have a good idea. We know what we don't know. Hey, listen, my buddy needs a liver operation. Can you help? I can't. I'm not your person to help you on the liver operation. I know that. Those 2 don't catch you. The one that gets us all is we don't know what we don't know. So we don't know what opportunities linger down the road. We don't know what change, okay, is coming and how we can take advantage of that change. That's why consistency is key. Let me give you a life example. People ask me all the time that, you went from a sales executive with this company and you ended up owning the company. Was that your plan? Nope. Never had a plan. In fact, with total disclosure, I never even had a plan to get out of sales. I was going to stay in sales my whole career. I loved it. The only reason I switched was Mark Masevich, who was the president of the company, said, look, we really want you to start training. I still was selling full time. And he said, would you train for me? I love Mark. He was one of my initial mentors. He said, anything you want me to do, I'll do. And so I went in there and I was training at an office that they opened up. And about 8 months later, they changed out a manager, and they said, we'll let you grow the office as big as you want, but we want you to not sell, and we want you to go into leadership. And we sat down and we worked it out, and it really changed the direction. Had no plan for that to happen. Then kept working, and Mark Masevic got hurt in a skydiving accident. Okay, I don't know if you ever heard the Flying Elvi. Okay, well, he was in that movie Honeymoon in Vegas. He was the jump master for that movie. You'll see him on the plane scene. Anyway, he gets hurt, terrible. Someone parked a car in the jump zone. When he came down, he tried to flare the parachute, then he hit that car at 40 miles an hour face first. Virtually almost died. And Mark was such a perfectionist. When I went to the hospital to see him, I thought, he can't be hurt that bad. It's Mark. I mean, he is just everything. He's just a perfectionist on everything he does. I walked into that room and I went, oh my God. So it was bad, and it was bad. Never the same. Still alive today, but never, ever the same. It was horrible. So now I'm starting to think, well, Mark was really the key to the company. He was the one, really the main leader. There were 3 partners, but he was the main leader. So I said, we need a general manager, and I can do the job. I didn't plan for that. I can't even be honest with you thinking I ever even thought about being a general manager. I didn't. Okay, so I'd love to stand up there. I had a plan. Here's what I've learned over years is when you do the right things each day, okay, just because they're the right things to do, opportunity opens up for you that you never expected. It's when you're not doing what you know you should be doing each day, and you sit there and go, well, I just, a lot of people have luck. I don't have luck. I just don't have that. What you are doing is you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you're right. You will lose a ton of opportunities, but you just need to look in the mirror and look at that person and say, you're the reason I'm missing all these outside opportunities. And the biggest ones you don't know are out there, but you're going to miss it because you're not doing the right things each day. All right. So that's why that DRC and that consistency is such a key in any business. And if you run a team, what's great about it is people are always trying to think, how do I manage my team associate? How do I manage my team associate? They should be doing the same things you do. Okay, just maybe a different segment of clients, whatever the case may be is, but don't change it. It's still the right formula. No, they're not you. Okay, but that formula of how you work still works for them. Everyone needs a DRC as an example. True client focus. This is one of my pet peeves. I hear, if I go up to most sales executives, and I didn't in here, if I did in here would be my, hey, do you care about the client? I mean, are you client focused? Oh my God. Mark, not to brag, but I am all about the client. I care. I work hard. I'm honest. I communicate. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I will do whatever I can do to help the client. I am all about the client. Okay. So let me push back for a second. First of all, caring, honesty, hard work, communication, all very important. Okay, all very important. But you're not doing me a favor because you're honest and care and you're going to communicate to me about my home. Okay, let me give you, I'm going to put on my seller's cap for a second. Prior to meeting you and us scheduling our appointment, I had a belief, okay, a level of expectation how you were going to be. And do you think I would have met with you and say, hey, honey, yeah, we've got a realtor coming over, what are they? They're dishonest, lazy, and they're going to, never call us back. Good, I'm excited. When do they come over? So what you're doing is when we go out to the marketplace and we sell the mandatories, I'm not saying they're not important, but I'm already expecting you to be that person. Okay, would you meet with me if you felt I was dishonest, lazy, and didn't care? No. So stop selling that. Be that. Okay, if you think it's important, live it. That's key. Now, let's get to what really matters to the consumer. And this is why, and I'm going to give you, if you have lost any listing for discount commission, this will solve it. If you've lost any listing because someone said, oh, on the $200,000 condo, they can get $7,655,000, okay? Fizzle solid, okay? And truthfully, if you've had just a client, choose somebody else. Just choose somebody else. And you know what? You're sitting there going, I can't figure it out. So let me help you. I'm going to solve this issue for you. But you really got to understand this concept of a true client focus. I'm a consumer. Every decision we make at this company has the consumer. Hello? I got excited. Okay, that's it. So every decision we make, every decision we make has the consumer in mind. Because I believe this. The best thing I can do for a sales executive is give you something that excites buyers and sellers. If you love it and buyers and sellers don't love it, how good can it really be? All right, now I'm not talking about back-end stuff that helps you specifically, and it's really not consumer-facing information. I'm talking about consumer-facing information. The consumer needs to be excited about it, less than you need to be excited about it. All right, so that's the first litmus test. Why is this good for the consumer? That's why we got so excited about what we're doing with the BAC. That's why we get so excited about Apex. That's why we get so excited about buy-side, because this is what the consumer wants to see. I want to be able to get the value of my house instantly. We hear you, okay? I want to be able to keep my equity and not give it away, but I want to be able to sell my house instantly. I'm here. Whatever the consumer is saying, all you have to do is listen. Okay, listen. Now, in general terms, what does every seller want in general terms? I'll tell you. One, I am not even going to include sell my house. Because here's the one thing I hear from me. No, Mark, how do you, in an environment like that, how do you not just tell me that? Listen, I wouldn't say this was a seller, but anyone can sell their house right now. Anyone, their house sells like this. So anyone can sell their house. Okay, you know what's the problem? You don't understand what your job is. Okay, so one, your job is not to sell the house. Your job is not to sell the house. I agree with everybody. House will sell quick, not your job. So what is your job? One, you're there to maximize my equity. Any bozo can sell the house, but not any bozo can maximize my equity through that process. So that's number one. Two, you're there to maximize my equity and make sure that the purchaser who is actually buying the property can execute on their promise. If I offer you $1 billion for your property, but I can't really close, how good is that for you? Okay, so your goal is to maximize my equity, and your goal is to make sure that who's ever making that offer can actually execute on the offer of the project. That's your job. And then three, any key residual goals that a specific seller has. I have to be out by October 9th. I've got to be in Texas for a new job. I have to be, okay, whatever the scenario is, I need to stay. I need 3 months more in this property, but I want to get it sold and get my money out. Okay, so there can be other key goals and you need to listen and find that out. But those two will always be there. Maximize my equity, okay? And if it isn't, it could be speed. Great, you'll learn that. I got to sell in 1 minute. Great, I don't care if I leave money on the table. Hence the iBuyer. The consumer has told us that. So no problem, but this doesn't hurt this. You still get the same benefit when you go on this way. All right, so now we understand that. So now we have to ask yourself, does your presentation present to every seller I meet with that if you work with me, you will maximize your equity? In fact, if you don't, you potentially will leave not tens of thousands of dollars on the table, but I can give you examples, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table based on the price of your property. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you've seen a property sell this year that even the price surprised you of what it sold for. Okay. What does that tell you? Okay, well, it's not that it doesn't matter. I think they can matter. Certainly terms matter with that and the whole bit. But what that tells you is you don't know. You don't know what the price is. So when you try and pick a price, you're blowing it. Hey, I'm from Vegas. You want to gamble? Put it all on black, put it all on red. The reality of it is your job is not to gamble with my equity because you think you can get 750. You don't know. I just proved it to 80% of the hands went up. All right, so what is the answer? This environment, and I believe most all environments are about process, not about price. Let me repeat that. This market specifically, but virtually all markets are about process, not about price. So when an agent presents to my seller and says, you know, Mark, you showed me comps, and even the high, and comps are coming in on the low side 700. On the high side, they're coming in about 800. I just met with an agent who said, I'll get $1 million. Okay, they can give me $1 million. Okay, for the property. Okay, number one. As soon as an agent mentions a price, I know they don't know what they're doing in the market. Because what they've just said is, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, let me guess. I'm willing to gamble by picking a price. One, because I know it'll impress you. So first of all, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, I don't care what price that they come up with. If they pick a price, they choose a price in this market, they don't get it. This market is about process, not about price. Your price could be $1.1 million. I don't know. Here's what I do know. I know the process to maximize your equity. So if it's $1.1 million, we're going to work together to maximize the equity. If I try and pick a price, I will sabotage your equity. And I can give you example after example after example. Now, let me step back and not talk to a seller for a second and talk to you. When you pick a price, and let's use that example, that $1 million. You pick and you price that property at $1 million. You have now pushed out all these other potential purchasers, okay, out of it. By the way, out of those potential purchasers that you have never met, who has the ability to execute on this property? Well, Mark, we've never met them. We don't know. Correct answer. You have no idea. What you chose to do is sabotage the client to say, anyone in that group, we could get 10 more offers. But anyone in that group, I've made the conscious decision to make sure they don't show interest in your property because they won't even look at it. See, the guy who was willing to go, and let me give you a live example. This happens to be a recent Apex. I think this is one of the videos that was sent out on Apex. Long story short, one of our agents, and I went over this with her about process versus price. She picked a price. It was 700. Luckily, Apex was involved. So Apex bought it for 700. Okay. Now, the people moved out, bought their new house, and now they were out of this house. So the goal is for Apex to work with our buyer, or I'm sorry, work with our agent, and they are going to renovate. Thank you. We've been stuck in that for an hour. Are going to renovate the property. After they renovate the property, which Apex pays for upfront, it's not cash out of the seller's pocket, pays for upfront. Even the agent was saying, you know what? Oh my God, this property could go for 900,000. I mean, it's amazing how great it looks. Okay, now, right there, that agent just proved to say, okay, first of all, you said 700. We would have put this without Apex. You would have marketed this for 700, and let's say it went for 860. You still left thousands of dollars on the table. So let's keep going with the story. So now they do all the renovations, and now they professionally stage the property. Okay, because their goal, their job is to what? Maximize equity. So I'm not going to leave it up to a buyer to be able to see the vision of this property. I'm going to create the vision because most buyers can't do that. Okay, so now they professionally stage it and they do all the renovations. The property gets multiple offers on it. By the way, they start the price at just under 900. Personally, I think it was a little high to go that high. I would have gone lower. And I'll explain that in a second. The property ends up selling for $1,050,000. Wait, $1,050,000, putting after Apex gets paid their fees After they're reimbursed for the renovations, okay, the seller put $290,000 net more in their pocket. So if an agent were to come in and pick $1 million for that property, didn't do the renovations, didn't do any of this work, how do we know that the buyer that was here, who is the one who had the ability to pay the $1.05 million? And by the way, sold cash for $1.05 million. Okay, so you've got to understand it is process. So I know the question. Well, Mark, we have to put a price in the MLS. I mean, I can't leave it blank. Hey, process. I read the word process. Okay, no. Your price, and this gets you off this price conversation. Your price is a strategic launching pad for your process, not a sales price. Well, I would never sell it for $700. No, you won't. Totally agree. In fact, in the agent-to-agent comments, I specifically write in there, just for me, really you don't need it, but I put it in there that my seller can choose any price with any terms for any reason at their sole discretion. Because some people have said to me, well, what if they come in with an at-list offer? There's no such thing as an at-list offer in this craziness. But if you're doing that, tell agent to agent, my seller can do anything. I'll disclose it up front. Okay? And Darren even wrote up something for some agents who had some questions on this. Guys, when you present process, you can't be pushed out. It doesn't matter what the other agent is promising. You're not competing against it. My goal is to go over that. Here's the kicker. If the property sells in that example for $940, you know you've gotten every offer possible, okay? Because you priced it at $750. And now you've got 32 offers. Yeah, but Mark, that's a lot of work. Okay, make sure if I ever sell a house, I don't hire you. Okay, yeah, it's a lot of work. That's what makes it great. That's why you're making sure how you manage those offers. Okay, you look at, hey, listen, here are the top 3. Here's the ones we're going to counter. And sorry, I know this is unfair. I know it's not right. I get it, but I can't solve every problem. Is we have 24 offers and 4 of them are cash. We're going to start there. Sorry, but I'm a good quality buyer. I know you are. That's why we have Apex, because we've got to turn you into cash based on what's really going in to the marketplace. Now things are adjusting now, and I think we'll have some relaxation from this, but doesn't change your presentation. The other thing this does is if you get a discount agent who is promising to save them 1%, 2%. What's 2% of 700 grand? 14 grand. Would you rather have, and that's not a trick question, would you rather have an extra check for 14,000 or an extra check for 290,000? Because I know what I'm doing. And my goal isn't to throw it in the MLS, pray someone sells it, because I have no income to really manage it. I'm getting 1% on the deal, and I do get people to go with me because no one's giving the other presentation. Guys, process over price. Your job is to maximize my equity and make sure who's buying it can actually buy it. And yes, any residual goals, do your job. Figure that out. That's a client relationship. Oh, by the way, don't forget the mandatories. I already know, and I believe this is true. You're honest, you're hardworking, you care, you communicate. Oh yeah, those are mandatory. Exactly. Okay, questions on that? Right? It frustrates me when I hear it, and I hear it more than I want to admit, of agents going, yeah, it's crazy. I just lost another listing. Some agent came in there and offered, said they can get $1 million to 800,000, 700, depending on what the property is, whatever. Okay, I know you didn't present it right. You're in their boat. All right, don't fall into it. It's about process, not price. Any other questions on that at all? Okay, either it's clear as mud or. But here's the beautiful part about this. When you do what you just said first, that question comes up rarely because You have already showed them, you showed them the video of going up 290,000. They're not going to be focused on 14 grand, 7 grand, 10 grand. It's crazy for them. Forget about you. And you will go back and say, oh no, you don't want, I'll go to my broker for anything. Okay, on your behalf. Trust me, you don't want to do that. Okay, we want to maximize. And I think that's one of the reasons why Berkshire Hathaway Home Services continues to pick up market share over the competition. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, I'll go to my broker for anything, but you don't want that. All right. And I don't even know who the other agent is, but they can't even negotiate their own fee. They're not going to be maximizing your equity. And I never bring up selling the house because I already know what they think. Is the house going to be hard to sell? They sell in seconds. Exactly. So why am I going to bring it up? They're not concerned that the house is going to sell. Okay. Their concern, okay, is timing, what they're going to make, whatever the case may be. One more example on this. If I had, I'll prove this to you one last time. If I had a listing to list with you and I could list the same house, silly example, but I could list the same house with every single one of you in the room. Okay. Raise your hand if you believe my net would be identical for every single one of you who listed the property. Okay, so there's the answer. So what you just said there, Mark, is depending on who's marketing this property will determine what my net is. I totally agree. But when you go in there and you get pushed out for commission, what you're saying is all agents are equal. No matter who lists your property, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, it's going to be the same income to you. So you need to lower the commission because that's the only thing that will increase your net. Not true. We clear on that? All right, good. Next. Forward pacing. I'm a big believer in forward pacing. And here's what forward pacing is. Through your experience, all right, you will learn very quickly, and I don't care if you're brand new in the business, you'll learn very quickly of the problems you run into with sellers, with buyers, with other agents. You've got to think in the back of your mind, how will I forward pace future people so this never happens again? To me, taking a listing without a pre-listing package, digitally or hard copy, I would never do it. That's one of my powerful forward pacing. I know how I'm going to use that in my presentation. So I'm always going to have a pre-listing package. Buyer's interview. Well, you know, Mark, wow, how crazy it is. You really can't. Buyer's interview. That's your problem when you make those excuses. There's reasons and results, and reasons don't count. Only results. So there is nobody that won't meet with you. It's how you present it. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, one of the things I'm very, very proud of, and this is with the help of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, is we're very good at getting buyers a property in this type of environment. And I know there's a lot of agents who, I hear it all the time, they're so frustrated that their sellers continue, or their buyers continue to lose property after property after property. That's one of the reasons why we are going to sit down and we are going to pre-plan, have a premeditated plan of attack for everything to give you the highest possible chance to get the home that comes closest to fitting your needs. So we'll find it. I can meet you at noon at the office, or we can meet at 2. What's better for you? Buyer's interview. And you go over everything. You may not be the lender that's going over loans, but you have your lender available to go over that information because you don't want to. I don't want to show people. You know, Mark, I showed someone in this environment 20 homes. We finally found one. Then I found out they can't even qualify. Again, that's an example of forward pacing. You are forward pacing, getting them pre-approved. That's another forward pace. You mean pre-qualified? No, I don't. I mean pre-approved. You don't want, because if you go in with pre-qualified, you've lowered the quality of my offer. If I'm pre-approved and all I need is an appraisal in a house, I'm much stronger. Another example of forward pacing. Okay, questions on forward pacing. You should forward pace everything. The agent, I know what agents do when I deal with the appraisal. I know what agents do when I deal with inspections. How can you forward pace so those types of issues don't happen again and again? Okay, very important. This is all, remember, goes back to successful execution, successfully executing the outcome you want. You have clarity on the outcome, and now you're working on what do I need to do to maximize that effectiveness. All right, this is another pet peeve. I also believe it's an opportunity. This one, the industry loves it. And in a weird way, I think it's helped us in a lot of ways, and I think it's hurt a tremendous amount of agents. When you look at an income statement, any income statement from any business, there are two categories, okay, in that income statement. There's two sides: expense and revenue. Sales executives love to say, I have an income statement. What's on yours? Expense only. That's all I focus on. Expense, 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 expense. I'm worried about expenses. What am I spending? What am I spending? What am I spending? What am I spending? You cannot give me, it's never happened once. I've never got an example of any successful company in the history of the planet that has been successful without driving revenue. How many of you watch CNBC? You ever watch CNBC? Okay, a few. When you watch it and you see the stocks, there's stocks that have cut their expenses dramatically, and their stock still goes down. Why? Because as an investor, if I'm buying your stock today, I have no problem with you managing your expenses properly. That should have been happening all the time. That's a mandatory. That should have been happening. But if I'm buying it today, I want it to grow and be successful. So what I need is to know your revenue plan, how you make money, and how you're going to grow that success. Guys, we've never had an award winner come up to win an award. Hey, I just want you to everyone meet Mark. You know what? He hasn't closed much of anything, but I'm going to tell you something. His expenses, low. The guy is an expense machine. Revenue comes first. Now, please don't mistake, don't take what I'm saying out of context. Of course, manage your expenses. It's a mandatory. We all want to manage our expenses. That's why we measure, and then we make the best decisions first going forward. But you never do it as a injury to revenue. Otherwise, you're just doing. I can cut $5 million out of our company literally with a flash of a pen. It would change who we are. It would change what we do. Okay, but I can do it. And then over time, it would hurt, and we would lose revenue in a big way. Maybe not right when I first did it, but over time, it sabotages the company. We won't do that. My advice to you is understand this. Revenue comes first. Revenue, DRC, revenue comes first. Then do your best, and if you have questions on this, to manage expenses, but never at the expense of revenue. Okay, never at the expense of revenue. The industry loves it because when they talk to an agent, they know the agents are so focused on expenses. Do you notice, even, I'm not going to mention any one company, but there's so many companies out there that talk about, oh, look at what you would earn, your split would be higher, your split would be higher. Do you notice how they never bring up, here's how you are going to do more with the consumer because you're with our organization. Here's how we're going to help you grow your business. Okay, here's our infrastructure of what we do with our agents that no other company does. That's what you need to focus on. There will never be an expense that you can save on that's more powerful than more revenue. Ever. Every time you do another closing, it's the best savings of expense you've ever done. All right? So keep that in mind. Revenue first, then expense focus. There are two types of marketing. People like to focus on one. Okay, if you want to execute effectively in your business, you have to understand there's two and focus on two. First is client-pleasing marketing. What do you do? I took a listing and I promised I would do A, B, and C. I got to follow through on my promises. I'm doing all that. The second type of marketing is leveraging up my business marketing. That means on a consistent basis, I increase my business because I have a plan of attack on every successful transaction I have. I do A, B, C, and D every time, not to please the client, but to increase my business and exposure. Rule of thumb, every listing you take should have a minimum of 2 closings. Itself plus 1 more. So the question is what do you do on a consistent basis, not heck and peck, on a consistent basis to grow my business every time I have a successful closing, be it a buyer sale or a listing closing. Two types of marketing: client pleasing, leveraging up your business. I touched on this, but I'll hit this. One more aspect is outcome thinking. I think so much of what I talked about so far today is outcome thinking. It has protected me. Here's what I do. COVID, let's use COVID as a great example. Okay. Not an environment I would have chosen. I don't remember one leadership meeting where we're going, yeah, Mark, is there any way we can have a pandemic? I'll check on it. I don't know what I can do, but we'll see. Okay. Never came up that way. All right. So many times we're forced to have an environment that we would not choose to have. However, and I never normally say 100%, but I'm 100% sure of this next statement. 100. In any environment, COVID included, there will be sales executives and brokerages that win. And there will be sales executives and brokerages that don't win. We want to be on the winning side. I knew that. I don't know what COVID is. I don't know what it's going to do, but I know this. This is not a Berkshire Hathaway Home Services issue. This is a global issue. So we're all in the same boat. I want my boat to go quicker, faster, and more effective. So let's focus on that. I do have, if you ask me some of the strengths, one strength I've had my whole life in personal relationships with, I have the gift of blindness. I have the ability to shun out noise and stay focused on the outcome that I want to achieve. I'm not a drama guy. I don't go down that road. If you're going over something with me that moves us forward, I'm in. You own me. If you're going over a reason why there's all, and you're not going to realize in this market, and I'm sneezing, and all the other stuff, okay? And I'm not downplaying. I don't mean to be rude. I had COVID, as you guys know, and went in the hospital and the whole bit, okay? And it is what it is. I mean, you know what? Life is what it is. And so, but you got to have clarity. What do you want, Mark? What do you want? I want to win in this environment. You're sick. Okay. I want to get better. Okay. All right. Whatever the case may be. Do you know what? And we all have our personal feelings. There's no wrong. You know, I hear so much talk on vaccines. There's no wrong or right to that. My God. Now listen, you know what? Everyone has their personal feeling. And here's the other thing, what I mean about noise. If you spend a lot of time talking to other people, what they should do, that's noise. That's noise. You don't want to take the vaccine? Awesome. You want to take the vaccine? Awesome. Okay? Great. Okay, stop focusing on stuff that pulls you away from clarity of what you want. I don't spend time on that stuff. Now, clearly, I have my wife, 2 teenage daughters, and my dog's a girl. So one, I think it's clear I have no say at home. One. And two, I'm going to tell you, I've never had a business issue harder than dealing with my girls. I mean, I am just thrown back. But I learned this a long time ago, and I know it with consumers. It's exactly what we went over. Mark, what do you teach? Everyone makes their decisions for themselves. Doesn't have to make sense to you. Okay? You want to speak your mind. These are your children. You want to speak your mind, and guess what? They're going to make your decision. Best advice I ever got from a therapist. Best advice. She says, you know what, Mark? You know what your job is with your kids? I go, no, but I'd love the clarity on that. Because right now, I don't think I'm being effective. I'm trying different clarity, but my clarity isn't clear. Okay. She says, your job is to keep them alive until they're 18. I went, oh my God, I can do that. Nothing else? Nothing else. It's all up to them. I go, oh my God, I feel like a big weight has been lifted. That's it. Keep them alive. That's it. And that was 3 years ago. Freed me. You know, sometimes I have to hold my back going, you know, the alive thing right now, I could end it for you. Okay. However, I feel that when my daughters make decisions and I'm like, really? Okay, well, just for the record, in my personal humble opinion, not a great decision. But you're gonna do what you want, how you want to do it. And you know what? It's your journey. All right. It's not gonna kill you, so I'm okay. All right. And sometimes I'll even do stuff that stretch that, and that's when I start losing it. I go, I give you 2 rules: health and safety. That's all. And I give you total freedom. You step on those toes, you and I are gonna have a problem. And they have. So it's not even that that works perfectly. They have stepped on those. And you do have an issue. And it is what it is. It's messy. It's like, but get this, I'm clear. I'm clear of what my job is. May not be effective, okay, because they make their own decisions. The toughest thing is when you want something so bad for someone else and they make different decisions. Doesn't work. Doesn't work for us with leadership and sales executives. It just doesn't. You know, it's not going to work for Gino and me. He needs me to be clear of what I want. And then you're in good shape. But if I don't want anything he wants, that's a problem. That's a problem. All right. I'm very blessed that we've known each other for 17 years, and probably one of the strongest things we have is that bond. But that's not always the case along those lines. A trap I don't want you to say. A few more, and then we're going to open up for questions. A trap that I never want you to say. I hear agents say, you know, Mark, especially agents with spheres who've been in the business a long time or a short time. You know, Mark, I got to be honest with you. My clients use me for me. I don't care where they use me for me. Wrong. I'll push back on that 1,000% of the time. Let me help you out here. It goes back to what we've talked about today. Your clients use you for them. And when they choose you, here's what they're saying. Hey, Mark, I just want you to know, at this moment in time, we feel, okay, we've talked, we feel you are the best choice for our family, our equity, our home. We love it. You're the right choice. Oh, by the way, if we ever feel you're not the right choice, we'll cut you away like a bad habit, and we'll never even tell you about it. We'll just do what we want to do. Because see, Mark, as much as you think we love you, and we do, we love ourselves more. So we will justify anything. We will do it. And by the way, I will do what I want to do, and it's really no ill will towards you at all. I wasn't even thinking about you when I made this decision. I was thinking about us. That's why I could call you on Sunday and go, oh my God, great news. What? We just bought a new home. We can't wait to have you over. Okay, me too. They're excited because they're focused on them. When you don't get this point, doesn't mean you won't do business. You'll do business. Everyone can do business. You will not come close to maximizing where your potential at unless you get that point. Listen, I love and respect you, but I love and respect me as a seller more than I'll ever love and respect any agent. And just get it. And when you understand that and internalize it, it's like for leaders in life, I believe in the servant leader mentality. I believe in that. So it gauges the way I think in my decision-making process. Same way with this. When I really know you're not choosing me for me and you're choosing me for you, I get it. That's why, you know how many times I've heard top agents drop, oh my God, yeah, not a good day today. What happened? Well, I just drove by someone, we've known each other, I don't know, 12 years. Okay, we just talked 2 weeks ago, and I just saw a sign in the show. In fact, it's one of our agents. Mark, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, this has been, I've had a really tough year. This is not good. I'm telling you, this is wrong. I've never seen less loyalty ever in the business, ever. All BS. Here's the other trap you don't want to fall into, besides saying that. When we think our truth is the truth. Went on 3 listing presentations, Mark, what happened? I got to tell you, they were all beating me up on commission. I've never seen it like this. No, the industry's changed. The market's changed. No one has ever been focused on commissions like they are now. And your litmus test is the 3 deals you just went on. Absolutely. We do 15,000 transactions a year, and I'm not a big enough litmus test to answer many of those questions. Your deals aren't either. Okay? Stop phoning in that your truth is the truth. Just make sure you own your truth. You know, people talk about strengths and weaknesses. I'm a big proponent of supporting strengths. I don't believe you fix weaknesses. Guess who will fix your weaknesses? You. If you don't like technology, okay, and you came to the company and said, you know, and I'm interviewing and I go, you know what, you like technology? No, I don't like it. I don't think about it. Don't worry. We're going to make you the best technology and social media person on the planet. No, you won't. Oh, yes, we will. No, you won't. I'm trying to help you out here. We're going to save a lot of time if you give up this goal. My goal isn't to make you something you don't want to be. Focus on people's strengths, what they enjoy doing, what they're passionate about doing, what their purpose is all about, and backfill everything else. I'm very blessed. Over the years, I've had help from many mentors, and one, Kurt Anderson, said, Mark, here's what I want. And I talk about this often, is the perfect day. And in my perfect day, he said, you don't want to do anything you don't want to do. So how do we get there? Once you get clarity on, well, if I had my perfect day, here's what I want to do. All right, great. How do we get there? Oh my God. It's like so many things start popping. And when you make that goal, you weren't worried about the how. Don't worry about the how. Just put down, what do I want? What's my perfect day? And now how do I get there? All right. And now you backfill. Well, but that's expensive. What's more important? Your perfect day or the money? The perfect day. Okay, great. Or right now the money. Okay. So what do we need to do? Well, I need to up my DRC. And I believe I can put enough money away that by the end of the year, I can enact that. So let's get on a goal so I never have to deal with this again. Sounds like a great goal. And by the way, you own it and you're excited about it. That's why it works. Two left, and then we're done. I just went over, no, one more. Just went over a perfect day. Okay, last but not least, exit strategy. There's a misnomer. There's a couple misnomers on exit strategy. One is you start putting an exit strategy together when you're thinking close to exiting. Wrong. Exit strategy should start when you get into business. Okay, don't get me wrong. Give yourself some time to, Mark, I don't even know what a listing is. Got it. Okay, so give yourself time. You know, there's a process there. But once you're going and you're doing business, you start putting an exit strategy into place, because the misnomer on exit strategy is you have to use it just to exit. It's just not the case. A great exit strategy creates more revenue in the short run, not only the long run. And yes, it increases the value of your asset. We do about 3 to 4 of these a year, where we help agents sell their business to another agent in our organization. And we've even brought agents from outside to purchase the business here and become a member of Berkshire Hathaway Services. So exit strategy is there, but exit strategy is all about processes, putting your process into place, putting your systems in place. All right. How do you earn your revenue? You know, when you do this, you're increasing not only your short-term revenue, but you're increasing your asset. You know, and people don't get this in our business, but if I give you this example, you always get it. If I said to you, we're going to buy houses together. Okay, you and I, here's the deal. We go find a house, whatever the down payment is, you put in 50%, I'll put in 50%. We rent it out, okay, and we pay all the bills, and every month we split 50-50 what's left over. At the end of 10 years, our agreement is we sell the property and I get 100% of all the equity. Are you in? Now, everyone's clear on that one. But when it comes to your business, they love to do the, okay, I'm going to be retiring or getting out of the business, or I'm relocating. Here's a list of my clients. If any of these clients buy, you shoot me a referral. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. No problem. And then they go, okay, promise? Promise. Surely I'll always be there for you. My name's Stacy. Whatever. Okay, so the whole point of that is that says I don't have an asset. I only had my cash flow of my efforts. But you have both. You have your cash flow and you have your asset. Exit strategy helps both. And by the way, it brings in a ton of clarity and it organizes your business. It creates efficiencies. It's a grand slam on every scale. Okay. With that said, first of all, I hope some of that was helpful for you, specifically from an execution standpoint. Now, with that said, let's open it up to questions. Okay, that about covers it. I really appreciate it. Now, any questions on anything about what I covered or any questions at all about the company? Yes. Apex help. Sure, what you'd have to check is okay, so on the buyer side, here Apex works a couple ways, and I don't want to speak for Fred, but just so you know, Apex will go in there and they write a offer with a signee or assignees, and then during the transaction, they flip it back to the actual buyer, okay, because they have the right to do that within the transaction. And I think now more of those will work because there's not going to be as many multiple offers. There will still be multiple offers, don't get me wrong, but there won't be at the level, I think, that there was. So it's still going to be vibrant for a while. So my belief is they can do that. What you just need to be careful on is, you know, the VA rules, and talk with Fred how easy that would be to orchestrate. The other way he has done this is he'll close on the property and resell it to your client as a VA, but it's a more expensive way to go for your client. Yes.
Thankfully, I've been seeing some success in my business. I'm a new agent.
Awesome.
But what I know about myself and my model and the business that I'm building, I'm not interested. Well, I should say not interested. I find my skill set is in different directions with AC, CRM, social media, and all of that. I am willing to pay for someone to manage all of that for me. How do I find that person?
Okay, so it's a great question. Did everyone hear the question? Okay, so let's talk about this. First of all, I love the thought process on the question. So the one thing you got to be careful of is when you say my model isn't this. That would be what you just said there. My model doesn't want to communicate effectively with my clients. That's not what you're saying, because you communicate different ways to your clients. And okay, so what we want to be careful, it's really not the model, it's Mark. That is not my strength. Let me be honest with you, and hopefully this isn't strong. I despise that kind of stuff. I hate the paperwork. I am not a computer person. I'm a people person. That's my highest and best use. Love it. Me too. Art of the deal. Okay, bad example. But anyway, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, that was a joke. No, I'm kidding. No, I love it. Okay, no, and I love that. So now, once we get clarity, it's not about model, it's not about this. It's like, look, these 7 tasks I don't want to do. These 7 tasks, I'm making up numbers, I want to do. In my perfect day, this is what I would do every day. So what else needs to be done and who's going to do it? Once you get clarity on those pieces and you're close on that clarity, now we say, okay, now I got to find somebody to help with this. Couple ways to go. One, for all of you may already know, is we have a headhunter that works exclusively with our company as it comes to real estate. He does outside work outside of real estate, but if it's real estate in California, Nevada, or Arizona, we're exclusive. So what he does is hire staff, okay, to do this. He's a headhunter, and we negotiated a killer rate for our sales executives. And by the way, we don't make any money on our vendor partners like that. So we don't get paid anything. We just negotiated a lower comp, because normally I was paying 25% of their first year salary to find an employee. Well, this is like between $800 and $1,200 total. So it is phenomenal. And he's great. You just need to be really clear, or you get too many general type people. You don't want that. Be clear. This is what I want them to do. So that's number 1. 2, you can break it up. Well, you know, Mark, I can start with a transaction coordinator, and you have someone doing TC work, and I sub out this effort and this effort. Great. Now, eventually, as I build my business, I want to bring that all in-house and I want my full-time assistant to handle that. Okay, great. When, what level of income would that need to be? You know, Mark, if I was making $150,000, I could do that. Great. Now we've got clarity on your goal. Hug me. So, okay. So that's why it's so powerful to get clarity, because now you can meet with leadership, sit down, what do I need to accomplish to make 150? By the way, 44,000 of that a year, 26,000 of that a year, 18,000, 35, whatever the numbers are, it's already going to be spent starting in the new year. I got to get this done by the end of 21. Every time you put those clear, you know, when you're doing your DRC, it's on your mind. I know why I'm doing it. I know why I'm clear. I know what I want. I know the price. I don't want to pay anymore. That is coming in at 7 in the morning to do all my paperwork and the VAC. And I let me tell you, I am so embarrassed to tell you, when I was a new agent, I was phenomenal at DRC. I was extremely consistent. Everything else I was doing was horrible. I mean, horrible. My mail outs were underneath my desk, just piling up. I finally sent them out a year later, and I only got one call from the client. Hey, Mark, there's a mistake on the year. I'm like, damn. True story, okay? Because I just had no organization. It wasn't. And I despise the paperwork. 7 months in the business, I hired Brenda. Brenda handled everything for me. Everything. Anything to do with stuff I didn't want to do, threw it to Brenda. And what did I want to do? Go on listing presentations, work with my buyers, which most of the time were my sellers. And that's what I did. Once I got to 50 listings in inventory, I added another clarity. I said, Mark, leave listings. If you can leave listings, regardless of how many sell, stay at 50, you'll never worry about money at all, because some percentage will consistently sell. Nowhere near what it is now, okay, where it's at, but I knew I would always have consistent escrows. So I had my goal. Mine was 2 new appointments a day. And the way I got those was FISBOs, expireds, and door knocking. That was my choice. That was what I enjoyed, okay, and wanted to do. And now I needed to not go below 50 listings. So if 7 sold, my DRC focus and my passion was gotta get back to 50 or more, 50 or more. Okay, so that's how I would go through that process. All right, and going back to expense versus revenue, I'll have agent, hey Mark, well, you know, I have someone that would be, you know, $22 an hour, but you know, I checked out the state's income and it really comes closer to $18.50. I go, stop. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're sabotaging yourself. I could care less. Let me ask you the really important question. Is this the right person to do the job? Are they good? Will they be consistent? Did you ask the right questions there? I don't care if this person you end up paying $25. Overpaying. Here's what it is. You will blow it away with revenue, but you're not focused on revenue. Right now, your brain is around expense. Stop. Get focused on where you make the most money, and that is revenue. And then, I'm not saying, what are you paying them? Well, $10 million a day. Okay, that's not the message. The message is don't be stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Great question. What else? Yes.
Turnkey price is $440, and that's more square footage. She did not have a turnkey house at all. She was on a really busy street, just the one in her garage. So I did some comps and I came out with a median of $395, and still wasn't what she wanted, but I felt like it was more realistic based on the comps. And everybody that goes to see the house says it's overpriced, turnkey price, not turnkey house, busy street, no offers for 3 weeks. And I talked to APEX, the guy on APEX said, you have $70,000 worth of renovations renovations, and is that really gonna be worth it? Because the best thing you could do is just, save it. But she doesn't wanna spend any money out of pocket, and she said, we're just gonna list it for 90 days, and, I'll sell it, and I'm just gonna refinance, pull money out myself, and do my business myself, and then rent the property for a year. And I told her that's gonna end up costing more money, because of interest, and that's just so much, and I'm trying to give her the best advice I can, and I just saw your advice.
No, I really appreciate it. Next question. No, okay. All right, so here, okay, and truthfully, you hit on a couple key areas. And you hit on a couple forward pacing areas that we need to do different. First of all, okay, there are different ways to position yourself with your client. I always do it one way, and so many sales executives, and that presentation right there, and that's more the norm of how people present themselves, because you're trying to do the right thing. You want to share the truth. You want to share what you're feeling and all that stuff. Okay. I can get to the same place you're at without being in that situation. And again, none of this is 100% on every listing. What the point of it is, because I'm going to go over a couple aspects that tie into this, it's you want to pick a process that works consistently, okay, most all the time. This process will be consistent and work most all the time. Okay, so first of all, here's what agents do. They have agent and market, and we can even call it agent, market, and home against the seller. That's what that presentation was. Hey, I'm the professional. I'm trying to help. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to explain the market. I'm trying to explain the situations after doing homework of what's going on with your property. Okay, Mrs. Seller, never, ever, ever, ever position yourself that way. It's always this. The seller and the agent against the world. The seller and agent against the market, the seller and agent against the appraiser, the seller against inspections, the seller against renovations, and don't take against as a negative. What it is look at, and it's always better, and it makes more sense when I put on my seller's cap. Look, guys, I'm going to be listing my house here. Okay, let me help you out. I'm going to give you behind the scenes. I need an advocate. I want someone on my side. Oh, by the way, I don't know anything of what I'm talking about. I have no expertise. I don't understand your business, but I still want an advocate. Okay. So, and I want to feel that you've got my back. All right. And what's going to be is going to be. If you think if a property can appraise for 500 grand, but you feel personally it should appraise for $1 million, does that mean the appraisal will come in at $1 million? No. So the whole message there is, look, the way you feel is a relationship with your client. It's not going to change anything. All it's doing is keeping you like this with your client. Now, so keep that in mind. Okay, always you and the seller against the world. All right. Second, you got to remember that every presentation has its timing. So a couple examples here. One, these are two very different presentations. I ask a seller, hey, listen, I know we're priced at $450, but if I brought in an offer for $425 cash, would you consider it? $425, listen, you guys, I love how you just do it. Yeah, you know what? I'm telling you, you guys are the worst. No, I'm not going to consider $425. It's a joke. Okay, you're already ripping my head off at $450. Not a good way to present that. It's a very different presentation than this. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. Yeah, Mark, what'd you need? My buyer's outside. This is a suitcase with $425,000 cash. They're willing to close in 2 days. What do you want to do? Very different presentation than the first one. Every presentation has its timing. If you try and do it all at the listing presentation, you blow it. What is your clarity? What is your objective at the listing presentation? Period. Period. Well, they need to understand the market. Nope. I want to build rapport. Nope. Those will happen. Those will happen. But it's not my outcome. It's not the clarity. If I can walk into a house and go, eh, and then they sign, that's all I would do. Knock on the door, and I'd walk out. Because I'm clear. What do I want? I want the listing. Everything else is mandatory. I'm still going to work to get them the best price, best terms, least inconvenience, shortest period of time. I'm going to work honest. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to do all the mandatories. But I'm clear when I'm in the house, get the listing. Get the listing. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, you got to come in with that mindset. Now, when I take that list, and again, when I'm presenting, it's me and the seller, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, and I know this property can need some work. I see that, but let me tell you, this community is amazing. Okay, there are so many people in the senior community that are looking in this area. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It's every positive I can bring up on the house. Okay, I'm going to bring up. All right, hey, that bologna sandwich that's been on the floor for a month. You know, sometimes I go into houses, there's 2 bologna sandwiches. You only have 1. Big positive. Big positive. Okay, so I'm going to look for every positive that I can present. Then, when the issues come up, it's not me saying it. It's like, you know, here's my issue. One of it is on the appraisal, and it's just so unfair. You know, these appraisers come into these houses. They generalize all these houses. They don't give the credit to the window coverings, to the carpeting, to the changes. You know what? You've been in this home. You keep it up. You know what? We don't have big issues, whatever the positives are. Okay. You know, people don't understand. Then these appraisers come in and they hit the values lower. I mean, I want to get your feeling on it. What's your feeling? Well, you know, Mark, honestly, I hear what you're saying and I appreciate that, but you know what? If it doesn't sell for $450, I'll die here before I sell it. So next, one of the things I want to know is, are they motivated? Do they want to sell? In your example, there's no motivation. She doesn't have to sell. Okay, now, I may or may not take that listing. Okay, if I feel there's absolutely no motivation and we're overpriced and I'm in a crazy environment, I may take it. Say, you know what? Crazier things have happened. You know what? There hasn't been an offer in this whole area for 8 months. What'd you get it? 500,000 cash. We were listed at 410. Okay. Wow. It's insane, Mark. I get it. So again, you got to look at what's going on because it doesn't always have to make sense to you along those lines. However, the other way I switch that out, let's say in a more normalized market, is I switch that client to a referral base. I would say to her this. Look, what's her first name? Moni? Okay, I'm going to be close to her. We'll call her Moni. Okay, I'm going to go look at Moni. You've placed yourself in such a great position that a lot of people haven't been able to do based on what you've been able to do. You don't have to sell. You don't have to sell. You can stay here and let the market catch up to you. Because I'll tell you, between you and I, like I said, is some of these other people don't get what you and I just talked about. They don't understand. And so they start comparing things that isn't fair to you, but we do have to deal with that. Okay. So I'm willing to try it for 90 days and I will give you the feedback of what we get and we'll go from there. All right. But if it doesn't happen in 90 days, take it off the market. Let's stay. We'll check back in 6, 8 months, a year. And remember this, motivation changes. Something happens and now they are motivated. They weren't motivated then, but they're motivated now. When I walk through a house that I know I'm not going to take a listing, in the walking through the house, because I always view the house, I'll go, you know, like we talked about after we sit down, after I sell the house, I'm like, look, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, You don't have to sell. You've positioned yourself great. I wouldn't even put this on the market. They're never going to give you what you deserve. And I'm with you. I totally get it. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So they're not going to give you this amount. And truthfully, it's unfair. Appraisers come in here, and I don't mean to be mean to appraisers. That's not my intention, Mr. Johnson, but it's just so frustrating that they don't give you, okay, the upsides that you deserve, and they compare all the houses like they're the same. They didn't spend on their window coverings and their floor coverings like you did. They didn't upgrade the pool like you did. Okay, I see houses all the time, but today is probably not the best time. And God love you. You already positioned yourself perfectly. Now, before I leave, I always throw this in. Hey, by the way, and he's like, you know, Mark, I so appreciate your honesty. Yeah, don't let another agent come in and tell you, oh, we'll get it. Because let me tell you, all they're doing is selling you a line. But I will say this to you. I'm going to keep up to date. Okay, you're in my VAC. I'll keep you up to date on the market. We'll let you know if it turns and whatever, or you need any information from me, please reach out. But look, I know you have friends, maybe even family, that have not positioned themselves as well as you have. Would you always keep me in mind? And if you have somebody that's willing and in a situation where they have to sell right now, I'd love to meet with them. I really appreciate the support and referrals. Love the referrals. We'll do a great job. No problem, Mark. Great. I can't tell you how much business you'll get from that. It's just amazing because I'm not going to fight. My job isn't to convince them to do something they don't want to do. Does it work when managers try and convince sales executives to do what you don't want to do? You can be honest. They know. No. Well, it doesn't work for clients either. So every presentation has its time. As motivation increases, that presentation will change. When I'm in for the listing, I want to get the listing. If I don't want to take the listing, I shift my clarity and I want a referral base. Whatever it is, I work within it based on the facts. Helpful? Say hello to Moni for me. Yes.
It's very surprising that Apex, Apex only focuses on 75% of your free value. And if it's enough to pay off her, if she has a loan, take care of, do everything else, give her the money. Now they own it. They're fix it up. Do what they have to do. The seller and give her the residual afterwards. So it's very surprising to me. I've done all surprised too when I've done about 13, 15 with Apex. And the bottom line, they're strictly investor. Fred is an investor. Bottom line, it's no emotion. It's all about, is it going to work? 75% of their appraised value, pay off the loan, closing costs, give her a response, and then find out what does she want, how much money does she need to move. As long as she can trust me, the seller's going to take that money and move. You're not going to hear other.
And you just have to verify that maybe they felt it could work based on what the market was. But that's a great question. You need to ask them. Can you tell me why that didn't work?
Okay, I use Apex too. And the house was disaster. But the Apex fixed things gradually. Oh, you walk up to something coming off. So they fixed that. Then they found some more things. We got everything done. And we sold it over, listed, and the guys are moving on. But they did it gradually, so you don't hit them with everything that had to be done. I mean, we got cleans, we got stucco fixed, we got whatever had to be done internally. And
Yeah, and it really, again, it all comes down to what the client's goals are and how are you working within those parameters. So that makes sense. There's no wrong there because each client can want something a little bit different. But I would verify with Apex what, because you want to know why this doesn't fit into your system. There's not enough equity here. If we buy it for this, there's not enough to protect us. Yeah, love it.
and full price.
Another question. Any other questions? We have time for one more.
mentioned about, establishing value on a property for the common market. There is current value market and ARV market.
Okay.
So I just want, after we hear that, so I just wanted to make sure which one we were going to talk about when you were discussing, making sure your values there.
Okay, the key with that is the value that I'm putting in the MLS is just a springboard price, really is not tied to either one of those. It is 26 offers is better than 16. Okay, 16 offers is better than 6. So my job first is I want to get as many people who are interested in that property, okay, as I possibly can. Then again, prior to going in, I've already done the renovations. I've already done those numbers. So I already have that. I'm not showing that property until it's renovated and staged and the whole bit. So that's already baked in the cake. But my point to you is once all the renovations and everything's done, I'm not putting it on the price at the renovated price. I'm putting on a springboard price that I already know I'm underpricing it. I wouldn't get crazy. You know what, it's worth 700. What do you got it on? 110. Okay, so I'm not, but guess what? I may go in at the very low comps. All right, so in my example, 700 to 800, I may go in the 700, knowing it's gonna sell for a lot more. Okay, and sometimes maybe I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go in at 750. We're really good there. It's going to, great. And then you work it from that angle. And I'll tell agents when they call, I'll just go, you know what? I'll just be really upfront. Yeah, I underpriced the property. Okay, I underpriced it. And I wanted to get as many offers as we can in to really gather as much interest in the property as possible. And you know what? Luckily, we've got 30 offers and you're one of the cash offers. So let's talk and see where this is going to be. But I'll tell you, we've got aggressive. We've already renovated the whole property. As you see, it's professionally staged. Not a lot of properties out there like this, John. So if we're going to put something together, here's my advice to you. So I'm not going to keep going up and back. I've already gone through 30 offers. Come up with your highest and best and be ready for them to walk away from. Give me your highest and best. Then when I come back and the highest and best is $990 all cash, I know, I feel comfortable. That is our maximized price. Okay. And yes, it was 290,000 more than our original listed price, or 240. Okay, whatever the aspect is. So it's always a launching pad price. I don't believe in doing it because I don't want to lose any purchasers. I don't know who's willing to step up and pay it. I like the craziness where they talk out there. Oh, it's so crazy. You got to pay over appraisal. You got to do this. You got to do that. You keep thinking that because that's not always the case. But you as buyers, keep thinking that because you're reading the paper. Good. My seller's going to get another 60 grand in their pocket because of it. All right. All right. Again, I hope, let me ask you, was this helpful? I truly believe this is one of my highest and best uses. And as you can see, hopefully I enjoy the heck out of it. I really like this. I am a sales executive at heart. That's what I did for this company, and it's where my brain is at. I think that's really helped us because I think about how is a sales executive going to use what we do to please their clients and to succeed in business. So I really appreciate everyone's time and hope to see you soon.
Mark, thank you. I know that you guys have a ton of takeaways. I'd love to hear all of them actually, but we're at 11. What I'm going to encourage you to do is the notes that you've taken, the ideas, the processes. This is the time that we're starting to build into your 2022 business. What does this look like? How do we forward pace on some of the obstacles and challenges that you have? So write down, where is it that you're not clear? Where is the clarity that you need to have? And those of you have heard me say, if there's no clarity, your mind will say no. It just won't do it. If you say, I'm going to call 2 to 5 people a day, nope, it won't do it because you're not clear on the actual appointments you're looking to have. So your challenge, your commitment is to take the 4 points that Mark has talked about, write them down and schedule your appointment today with your business manager, with your coach, with your manager in your office. Because 2022, we're gonna rock it. We're gonna knock it out of the park and people are gonna know who Berkshire Hathaway is, right? Right. Oh, come on. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I have to say that I have been one of those people that have called Mark and said, you know, this goal is kind of hard and I don't know what this looks like. And you know what? I have to say, he wasn't really nice about it. He's like, what are you telling me? So I'm like, it's hard. I'm not used to doing this. This is kind of awkward. And VAC is a lot of information. He's like, all right, we'll learn it. I get it. What else do you need? I'm like, I got it. You guys call me anytime. And it's true. Right? It's true. And it kind of is the cold glass of water that kind of doesn't give you the excuse that says, okay, Alicia, you do what you want to do. That's what I really wanted to hear. Just clue. That's really what I wanted to hear. But it wasn't. But you know what? I'm striving to be better. I'm trying to challenge, get over those obstacles and knocking it down. Going, hey, this is my clarity. Clarity doesn't mean comfort. Okay? It means clarity. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, right? Everything that you do takes pain and you over accomplish that. So, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.